I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the upcoming Godforge Alpha and what we can expect from Fateless for the remainder of 2025. Hi, I'm Charlemagne, and I'm a 5-year free-to-play Raid Shadow Legends player that has not only cracked the code on what it means to succeed in a gacha game without spending, but I've seen the good, bad, and ugly when it comes to the gaming community. Now, let's talk Godforge. At the time of this recording, Fateless is wrapping up their final build on the Alpha Tower, which will be the core experience for all players when it comes to the Alpha that is upcoming. Now, that is planned to be done and dusted by the end of May, and then they begin to test with family and friends. So, if anyone in Fateless is watching this and looking for more friends, I'll throw my hat in the ring. But that's not helpful to you. So, here's what's important. At the beginning of July, the first of 3 waves will begin for the community. More on that later. This will be the beginning of the alpha experience, and Simon himself has said upwards to half of the initial beta signups can expect emails in their mailboxes inviting them to participate. This will be sent to the email address you used to sign up for the beta at fateless.gg. So hopefully you didn't put in a fake email address, or at least remember which one you put in, because that's going to be crucial to gaining access to this alpha. Hey guys, I'm going to interject real quick here. I just want to remind you that all of this information is subject to change. So just be aware of that as you're watching. Also, you may not be aware of this, but my channel is very young, and this isn't even my 10th long form video. So at this stage in the game, every single subscription means the world. If you have watched a video or two of mine, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Let's get back to the video. They're aiming to have the alpha available on iOS, Android, and PC. So let's continue to cross our fingers that they're working hard and they're going to be able to deliver on this expectation. With all that in mind, set a reminder for July and keep an eye on your inbox. Now, if you haven't signed up yet, don't worry. You still have the opportunity to join Wave 2. Head on over to fateless.gg, click Join Phase 2 Beta, enter in your details, and I'll see you in their Discord. But what's the difference between Wave 1 and Wave 2? And supposedly there's a Wave 3? Well, remember how I said I'd break that down later? Phase 1 will kick off the alpha, and Simon has made it known that there will be 3 waves that go throughout July and most likely into August. The first wave will last 10 to 11 days, with then some downtime afterwards for the developers to work on bugs and fixes that came up during Wave 1. After that, Wave 2 will begin, again, 10 to 11 days, followed by the same development time. And then we get Wave 3. At the time of this recording, Fateless is planning on opening up Phase 3 to all players. That means upwards to 40,000 people being invited to basically stress test the server for the alpha experience. This will be an opportunity for all players that have already experienced the alpha to come back in, post bugs and fixes that they experienced, and play together and basically re-challenge themselves to improve their scores from their previous wave experience. Now, this is Hell Hades, the infamous creator of the free-to-play challenge, and so we can bet on the fact that there's going to be some level of competition. Now, what could that be? There will be leaderboards through fateless.gg on who is doing what in the Alpha Tower. But we also know that at the end of the tower, there's going to be an unkillable, an infinite damage boss. And this will most likely have its own independent leaderboard for who can cause the most damage. Do keep in mind that many of the developers here are coming from the same organization that created the Hell Hades optimizer for Raid Shadow Legends. I would assume that they're going to be working this out so that all players and all accounts, no matter what device you're playing on, will be able to be tracked on Fateless.gg's leaderboards. But keep an ear to the ground about this, because we could be surprised. But competitions and leaderboards? Surely there's going to be something more than just rankings and bragging rights when it comes to the launch of Godforge. And that's true. Simon has recently come out saying that there is going to be rewards for all players that participate in the alpha. This will come in the form of cosmetics, achievements, and potentially some early game currencies that could help boost a little bit of early game progress. But that is still up for debate. A lot of these finer details about rewards has been recently shared by Simon in Fateless's YouTube channel, linked down in the description, so go ahead and check that out if you want to learn more. And all of this is good. And we know that we're going to get an invite. We know that we're going to play, and we know that we're going to experience some form of what Godforge is going to be. But what is that exactly? Well, the alpha experience is known today as the Alpha Tower. This is a polished element of Godforge that is not a specific game mode for launch, but a way to show a lot of core gameplay loops in one place of content. In other words, there will most likely be a tower when it comes to the full launch of Godforge, but it won't be the same tower that we're preparing to play in the alpha. In addition to the tower, the full hero roster will be available to us so that we're able to level up our heroes as we play. It has been said that except for masteries, all the required materials and currencies needed to be able to level champions is going to be available to us to farm within the alpha tower. The tower itself will be continuing levels of difficulty as we progress from level to level, potentially 150 levels, and there will also be mini bosses, bosses, and at the end of these levels, there will be an infinite damage boss similar to the form of a clan boss or some form like that, with its own distinct leaderboard for who can do the max damage. This is all good and exciting, but something that's particularly interesting is a leak that came from Adam from Adventures with Adam last week. When he was giving his reaction to one of Simon's recent leaks, he discovered that one of the images behind Simon that you can see here looks like it is outlining the starting heroes for at least the alpha, if not the full launch of Godforge. These characters look exactly like Ramses, Lady Zoc, and Guan Yu. We do not know the full breakdown of the skills of all of these champions, and so I cannot give you my recommendations at this time. But rest assured, once we know this information, I will be giving a full breakdown on this channel about what I would say might be the best starting hero for the alpha, so make sure and subscribe for that future content. What we do potentially know, however, is that Lady Zoc may have a bleed ability on one of her attacks. And for those of you who are very familiar with gotchas and idols, bleed is often a dot effect or a damage over time, very similar to Poison in Raid Shadow Legends. And for any of you who have played Raid, Kayla is often considered one of the best starting champions for early player progression. So that could very well be true for Godforge as well. We'll have to wait and see. And that's the alpha. We will select a starting hero, we will go and grind through all of the waves of content in the tower, leveling up heroes and grinding out gear, and potentially getting to the last level where we are then able to fight against the infinite boss. The positive thing that I find about the alpha is that this will not be a credit card driven activity. That will not even be a factor in the competition. We will purely be looking at who is devoted to grinding, to finding the best strategies, to going and pushing through all of the difficult content to be able to make it towards the end. And so make sure and stay tuned to this channel as future tips, strategies, and metas come out once the alpha is with us. But what comes after the alpha? We know that there will be 3 waves, each lasting at least 10 to 11 days with development time in between. And I would assume, based off my experience in software development, that after wave 3, we can expect a lengthier time of development as the final wave has been completed. There's going to be data analysis on player behavior and kind of things that they want to work through as they move towards a beta. And that's true. There is actually going to be a beta. That is why we have the alpha verbiage now. Beta is planned for September, October time in 2025. And frankly, I believe the alpha is going to extend well into August. I would anticipate the beta happening at the very end of September, if not early October. I would not put our hopes in early September. That sounds like an absolutely crazy turnaround to me. The beta will be a majority of game with high levels of polish. It may end up as an early access of the full game for the community. If this is the case, items purchased will likely carry over. Notice that there's no mention of heroes in this statement. So we don't know yet exactly what would carry over or what would not, but just be cautious when it comes to this time period in the game's development cycles. I'm sure, knowing Fateless, that they will be open and honest and very communicative with us and on exactly what can be purchased or what will move over onto a player's account as they progress to the next stages of development, but you never know. So please ensure, if you are not a whale, if you're just a low spender or anything like that, that whatever we buy during this stage of the game may not transfer to your future account. After the beta comes the technical launch. Now, this is something that has been said by Simon, and I believe it's kind of a scenario that he is envisioning in his mind. And I wouldn't be surprised if this stage actually kind of disappears over time, but we'll see just how much development work is needed between alpha to beta and beta to launch. But so far, the technical launch is said to be the full game to potentially be a stress test on servers and other areas of the game. Spending and advancement should be possible, and anyone playing at this time will be keeping their account. Do note, guys, that especially with this last statement, all of this is subject to change. And so while you may be seeing this video right after I published it or months from now before the full launch, just be attentive to whatever is happening and being communicated in their recent videos of Fateless's YouTube channel or in their Discord. After the technical launch comes the release of Godforge, and this is planned for late Q4 of this year. So, Merry Christmas to all of us. At least, let's hope. Let's break it down one last time. July through mid August, we can anticipate 3 alpha waves, and you can hope to participate in 2 of the 3. Come September, October, there will be the beta. And I'm going to say at this time that November we can look towards a technical launch, and then get the full game just in time for Christmas. And y'all, that's it. That's everything as of now that you need to know anticipating the Godforge Alpha. I'm excited to jump in. I hope you are too. And I know that Fateless is just hoping that we are all going to respond when we get that email invite. So let's look forward to July. Let's watch those inboxes and let's get ready for the Alpha.